listening to TRAWLCAST.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally back. This is TRAWLCAST. We're starting off Season 3, Episode 1. My name's Sean Matthews.
And I'm Seth McClellan.
Welcome back. We're back. We took a little bit of a break, a little bit of a hiatus, and that's something we'll talk about today. It's been a long time since you've heard from us, unless you've seen us live. Back September of 2021 was the last time we put out an episode, so it's been... what, 4 months, Seth? 5 months?
Something like that. Yeah, like 4 or 5 months.
And we've been busy. I think that's the nicest way to put it. We didn't forget about the podcast. We kind of just shelved it for a minute because we got going on a lot of stuff and we did a lot of crazy things and had a lot of fun for a while. And it kind of took up all of our time. But, I mean, how you been, Seth? I mean, I've seen you since the last time we did an episode, obviously.
Yeah. No, I've been doing good, man. Excited to do this again. To be honest, I actually, I just recently started like missing doing this. I'm like, man, it's been such a long time since we've done a podcast. But like you said, we've been really busy with shows this fall and early this year, and doing some recording. We've not been unbusy at all. We've been really busy,
Right?
But we've just been busy doing other things. So,
let's get onto the thought of what have we been doing since September. I think the big thing to start off with is we've played a few shows, and they've been extremely good. Starting off, the first one I can remember from the last episode was Blacktop Mojo and Livin' Brilliant down at Wally's in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire. So let's talk about that show.
Yeah, that one was amazingly cool. We got to go back to Wally's for the first time in a long time since before the pandemic, because we had played there a couple times back in like 2019-ish. And
the early years.
the early years of Trawl. Yeah. So awesome to get to go back there. The crowd, I think, there has always liked us. Like, I've always felt very welcome there, and I've felt like it's a place that when we play there, people generally dig what we're doing, which is cool. It feels like a friendly place.
They always pack the house too. They're very much... They always promote the shows really well. Yeah. There's always a great turnout. They're super friendly and easy to work with for like local bands too, which, if you're a local band, sometimes going out of state, it's kind of hard to work with an out of state promoter because they don't know you. They don't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
They just, here's $50, piss off. But
it can be a very cold experience playing out of state in general. And
right.
I never get that feeling when we play at Wally's. It's always
a lot of fun. And I mean, Wally's is exciting because it is out of state, but it's essentially kind of like if you're from Maine, you know what Old Orchard Beach looks like. It's kind of like Old Orchard Beach. Feel, it's bigger. I love Hampton Beach. I love Wally's. They've been really good to us. And
getting to open for Blacktop Mojo was insanely cool. Blacktop Mojo, they're a national band from Texas. Really cool dudes. I actually had the pleasure of opening for them in one of my previous bands in the past. And completely unrelated, we got this opportunity to open for them with Trawl, and they actually remembered me.
Kat came up and said, "Hey,"
their bass
gave
player,
you a big hug, dude.
Yeah, he like threw a hug on me, and he was like, "Dude," he was like, "looking forward to watching you play bass." And I was just like blown away because I'm like, here's this guy. They're on their, probably fourth album. They've done many U.S. tours. They just played Shiprocked recently. Like, they're doing big things, and to have him remember me, I was like, wow, that's really cool. Very good dudes. Put on a hell of a show.
Absolutely.
I felt like their fans in general dug what we were doing. as far as Trawl's set, like I really felt super happy with how we played. Like I felt like we really brought it. And at the beginning, people were like trying to figure it out. They were like, okay, all right,
Yeah,
cool.
they're testing the waters. That they were checking it out and weren't too sure what was going on.
Yeah, we hit them with the intro with the Jaws-erific stuff and the water sounds and first couple songs, and then they really like people really started getting into it, and I was
Yeah,
just
it was nice to see people dancing and moving and getting into it because it was definitely a different crowd because you know Blacktop Mojo coming out of Palestine, Texas, they're a little more southern rock, and we're
yeah,
not.
for
We're
sure.
we're a little bit more of that. Well, we call it funk metal. We're just going to go with that. We're funk metal, so it's a different beast. But people started to dig it. People started dancing. I think it was a great time overall. We had a blast. We got to meet the Blacktop Mojo guys. Living Brilliant. They were the middle act, I guess you could call it.
Yeah,
And those guys were awesome. It was really fun to watch them play.
yeah, they
They,
were
they they
great.
put on a hell of a show.
Yeah, absolutely. Another band from our parts. They're I think they were like some members are from like Southern Maine. Some of them are from New Hampshire. Sam from that band was in Red Sky Mary.
Hmm.
Um, Great musicians. I felt immediately like, all right, these guys, they're all really good musicians. Can't wait to hear more from those guys. They're super solid. So
Yeah,
it was a lot of
they-
fun sharing. Always when you play shows like that, you end up talking at the merch table because you kind of share a space, and we shared a space with those guys over at the merch table, and
yeah.
so all night we were just kind of like chit chatting and talking and really personable people too. Just like had a blast that night.
It was fantastic. Like I said, Living Brilliant put on a hell of a show. Blacktop Mojo closed the night out fantastically. They put on a really good show. Um, and it was interesting because I'd never seen or really heard of them until we'd gotten the gig. And then like checking them out, you know, 4 studio albums, couple extended plays, whatnot. They did exactly what I anticipated them to do, and then some. Like they were hitting all their performance points perfectly. You know, watching them on stage, they controlled the stage better than most bands at their level do.
Yeah,
And it was awesome. I thought it was fantastic. And as of this recording, they just announced that they're coming to Aura in Portland with Buck Cherry. So
that's right.
that's kind
That's
of
right.
cool.
Yeah, solid musicians, man. They're
Yeah,
they're
for
doing
real.
the thing. I mean, they're at this point for sure. This is what they do. I mean,
Yeah.
they're like I said, they're playing nationally. They're going on. They're on the road all the time. I see them on the
Yeah.
road all the time. So
Well, and like you said, they just did Shiprocked, which is a really big cruise that goes out of Texas or Florida. I can't remember where it launches from, but
yeah, I'm not sure.
and it's huge. It's a ton of rock, metal, icons over the years. I saw some videos, with Steel Panther, Corey Taylor, Lamb of God, Nonpoint. There's a bunch of stuff, and it was awesome. Like I
Yeah,
someday I'll get to go do that. I'll be a big kid and get to go do something fun like that.
I
But
know. I've never done anything like that.
I just play Magic now.
Yeah.
The next show that I can think of was the Hallow Bash down in Champions in Biddeford, and that was a good time. El
Yeah.
Trawl showed up.
El
Um,
Troll.
El Troll, the Mexican wrestler Troll rock band. Um, it was a good time. We got to share the stage with Renegade Cartel, 16 by 20, and Signal of Noise.
Yep.
Great turnout. Really awesome Halloween show that we saw a lot of really cool costumes and there's a lot of weird costumes there too, but that's
Yeah.
besides the point.
Nice.
If you're from Southern Maine, Halabash is put on every year by the guys in Signal the Noise. It's a really good show for uh, basically showcasing local New England acts to help kind of promote them in an area that they may or may not be known well in. All the bands, I think everyone did great. We did our best. We had a couple technical difficulties with our masks because they didn't fit right.
Oh man, so I kept trying to like modify my luchador mask because
Yeah.
like it wouldn't fit over, like if I could see out of it, then I couldn't like, and my mouth was in the wrong place. And if like the mouth was in the right place, then I couldn't see, like
Oh yeah.
it wasn't working. So I tried to like cut pieces off, and then it made it like too loose. And then as soon as we started playing, I couldn't see anything.
Well,
I
if you
was
go
like
to
completely blind.
youtube.com/Trawl you can see a video of us playing Vertigo live at Halabash, and you can see the moment that Seth and I said, "Fuck these masks." They
Yeah,
came
seriously.
off pretty close to each other. I think Gary lost his pretty soon after you and I took ours off, and Justin made it, I think, 2 more songs or so,
Yeah.
as Ramses.
Props to luchadors everywhere.
Yeah.
Like having to perform and wrestle in those masks. Like we couldn't even play 3 songs in those masks. Seriously,
Well,
like you got to have like the right
yeah.
the one that's fitted for you, that like
That's the thing, is that
that's
they
the thing.
have
Yeah, yeah.
custom made, custom fitted, and molded to their faces. I had a mask on that basically pushed the tip of my nose to the back of my head. It was so tight. Everything else felt fine, but my nose was crushed, and I had loosened it. I'd tied it really loose, like the strap went underneath my chin, but
Yeah.
I've put on a little bit of weight, and that strap wasn't where it was a couple months before that when I first originally bought the mask. So it was a bit rough, but I mean, we had fun. There was some, like I said, technical difficulties with the mask, but we had a good time.
Yeah.
And like I said, all the bands put on a hell of a show. It was really fun to do that. I think we made some more friends.
So for those who were there, or if you weren't there and maybe you heard, I had kind of a rough night after our set. I kind of lost my temper a little bit, threw a few things around, said some choice words, and sometimes that stuff happens. It's uncharacteristic for me, but I didn't want to breeze over it because
Yeah. That's an understatement. I've never, in the years I've known you, and in the few years I've been in a band with you, I've never seen you get that. I think the word is animated.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like, I'll say this: there was kind of a series of events throughout the night that I'll say in retrospect that like nobody did any of it really on purpose.
Right.
All the bands and the venue and the people working were all trying to work towards the common good of the night. But we kind of ended up with an unfair shake on a few things that kind of added up to being a pretty tough night, specifically for me and for the rest of the band too. But overall, none of it was, I don't think, intentional in any way,
No.
really. But it took me a while to kind of cool down, but
right.
we all kind of have those nights that like,
oh yeah,
the
no,
series
and that's
of
the
events
thing.
kind of comes
It
into
was
play, and you're just
like you said, it was a series of unfortunate events. That I think one of the big things that was kind of a key factor was the fact that you kept somehow getting locked out of the venue as we were trying to get stuff on stage, and then like trying to get back in to get shit off stage. I think it was only you that just kept getting locked out. Like, and that was, I mean, I can
really
understand the frustration of that. And I mean, there was a lot of other things that kind of compounded. And
it's also important, I think, that we don't just make everything sound like rainbows and kittens and
right. No, and that's
because,
the thing I think our fan base enjoys the most about us is we're very transparent. We're not hiding anything. We're pretty down to earth guys. And yeah, some shit went wrong. I think, and it's also musicians. All musicians are very passionate, whether it's about music or just in general in life. Every musician I've ever met is very passionate and can be very emotional. And when something doesn't quite go right, shit can hit the fan very easily. I am definitely one of those people. I have done things in my time as a musician and a normal human being that I'm not proud of because I probably should have used my head better, but it's kind of, I feel like it's part of being a musician to be maybe a little bit more emotional and, passionate about your craft and what you do on stage.
It's true. It's true.
So
And you and I have both said it before where like we get off stage and like someone has to tell us what we did because it's
Mhm.
almost kind of like that Jekyll and Hyde thing where you kind of become who you need to be for the sake of the performance. And this, I'm not going to blame on that because this was after the fact. I definitely knew what was wrong, what was going on, and this was a separate incident. But I will say, to anyone who's there who was upset by it or whatever, I greatly apologize. It was very uncharacteristic of me, and no shade or no negative feelings for any of the bands or the staff. It was just,
Mhm.
like I said, just one of those nights where
Yeah.
things compounded and we all have them. But I think that's important to say is we all have those nights because like,
Right.
this isn't a perfect science. This is,
No,
uh,
it is not.
this is showing up at the club, giving our best, giving our best performance, trying to be the best people we can be.
Mhm.
But we're all human. So, things are going to go wrong. Things aren't going to be correct sometimes. And, so I think that's important to say.
Yeah. Well, as the immortal Limp Bizkit said, it's just one of those days.
Yes. The philosophical
The
musings of
wise musings of Sir Fred Durst.
Sir Frederick Durst.
I think that was it for a bit. We took a little bit of a break. We started working on recording, and we'll
Yeah,
get to recording in a second, but we want to talk about the next show we played, which I feel is probably one of the biggest shows Trawl has played. But for me, I feel like it's one of the biggest shows I have ever played, not just because of who we played with, but because of how the show went, who was there, how the crowd reacted, the whole kind of shebang. And that's, again, back at Wally's Pub, Hampton Beach, with Discrepancies out of St. Louis, Missouri, and the one and only Nonpoint. What
Dude,
the hell do you say, dude?
that was one of my favorite shows I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely, I think the biggest band I've ever played with, or one of them. One that for me kind of was the most exciting and personal because it's a band that sometimes when you open for a national, it's a band that like you have to kind of like look them up and go, oh yeah, okay, they're a national band from,
or it's a band that you were into. There's some quotes on that, but
yeah,
you might have liked like 3 songs off their first album.
right.
You didn't really follow them. I know in one of my previous bands, Open for Trivium, that was awesome. I'll be honest, I think I only listened to like 2 of their albums. I wasn't like a huge Trivium fan. I am now just because I got to play with them. But this, like you said, Nonpoint is one of those bands that I remember getting the albums when they came out and kind of sticking with their discography and everything, like member changes and tours, and I tried to see them as much as possible. And
been a fan for over 20 years and got to see them when I was in high school, which was, I said on Facebook, if you guys follow me there, but like got to see them on a big tour, probably like 2001 2002 when I was in high school. And it was like one of the biggest rock shows I went to at that time. And just thinking about that being like, if you would have told 16 or 17-year-old me that like you're going to be playing a sold out show with Nonpoint, just gave me goosebumps. I was just like, I wouldn't have believed it. I would not have believed that like someday a band that I was playing in got to play a sold out show with Nonpoint. It was just absolutely incredible, symbolically and actually just it getting to do that.
Good friends of the podcast and of ours in general, Patio Slave guys, Tony and Twan, they have, and Nate, I won't forget Nate, even though, It took them a while to accept my friend request on Facebook. But those guys, they did a podcast with another show called The Itch. And they're based out of St. Louis, Missouri, I believe. Or two of them are. I believe one of them's in Chicago. I could be wrong, but they mentioned us on one of their most recent podcasts with Jason Zielstra, the guitarist of Nonpoint, and
I thought that was beyond cool. I'm like, okay, so a podcast that we don't know personally just mentioned our name to Jason from Nonpoint, and he was like, yeah, those guys were cool. I was like,
it was it kind of blew us away, but it was also really nice to know that, just seeing how down to earth these guys are, that they're just, they were thankful for the opportunity to have somebody just play music with them.
I think historically, Nonpoint has always been very kind to up and coming bands, openers, people who they've toured with. I know I've seen several instances in the past of them just being super cool to smaller bands. Not only that, they're also very personable, and I know they really like to meet their fans, do meet and greets and stuff like that. I know right now it's a little harder where, the fear of COVID is a real thing. And especially when you're on tour, like one member getting it can crush the whole tour. So
well, and that's what happened with them. Unfortunately, they had a tour going, and they were supposed to play Wally's. I want to say it was like September or August.
Yeah.
But Rob, the drummer, he got COVID, and then they had a major equipment malfunction where their trailer came off of their tour bus and ended up in a ditch on the side of the road. They have a group of people that, basically set up a GoFundMe, and they got everything back, new guitars that were broken or they were repaired, and they fixed the trailer hitch, they got everything done, and then they got back on tour after Rob got better. I mean, they just released the Ruthless EP, and honestly, it's a banger. It's a great album front to back.
When we got there, the merch table wasn't even open yet. And I'm like, I'm gonna need that signed vinyl.
I did too.
So we both got the signed copy of. It's got Ruthless on side A. It's got When Doves Cry on the B side.
On the B side, they're
signed by the whole band. It's really cool.
And it sounds amazing. I'll be honest. I've spun it a couple times. It's fantastic. And those guys, they were super cool. They put on just an amazing show.
Ridiculous.
But I don't want to skip over discrepancies. Let's go back to discrepancies. Like, we played, we sounded, we had good times. Couple technical difficulties with your bass rig and Justin's guitar. His wireless, I guess a button was messed up in it and he got it repaired. And then your bass rig kind of was being wonky, but
I had something in my pedal board I had a connection not working somewhere. So I was like on the floor ripping pedals off and trying to minimize my signal chain to, take things out of the equation. And I ended up just going direct in.
Which, if anyone out there has seen Seth play or knows Seth, he has a particular sound and tone to his bass rig, and it's definitely different because he wasn't able to use some of the pedals that he uses. So having him rip the pedal board out and say, fuck it, I'm going direct, was a big chance that it would sound like, dookie, but it sounded great. We had fun.
We got some props afterwards for recovering because it was only about a minute and a half of downtime, and we figured it out, and we ended up getting me back up and running. So
the crew that was there helping move gear.
Oh yes, those guys were awesome.
Those guys were unbelievable.
Bull. He was great.
Super nice guy. Loved him.
3 other gentlemen with him.
He had his crew, and then the guitar tech for Nonpoint was side stage, kind of helping and watching. And I forget his name. I want to say it's Mike, and I apologize if it's not, dude. You were friggin' super cool, wicked nice, and it's not often you get somebody who's working for another band or a national band, and they come up to you and they're like, dude, that was fucking awesome. Great job. Like, thanks for doing this for us. And it's like, no, thank you for letting us come on stage with you guys. Like, fucking hey, This is awesome. And he was just super nice. Like, he came up and he's like, hey, have a good show, guys. Like, gave us, fist bumps. And then had a fun time. And then getting off of us, going to Discrepancies out of St. Louis, Missouri. Those guys were fucking great. They put
Awesome.
on the hell of a show. One of the best bass drum heads I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, it was badass.
If you haven't seen it, it's basically Will Smith, Fresh Prince, but it says Discrepancies. It was fucking great. I loved it. And they put on a hell of a show. Super, super, super nice guys.
Really
We were
cool bands.
I was super happy to be able to share a merch area with them, despite it being like negative 20 degrees and being right next to the door where everyone goes and smokes.
Oh,
So it
yeah.
was just blasting the back of our legs in like ice cold air. But those guys were super nice, and Antonio was at their merch table pretty much all night except for when they played. And honestly, they tore the place down. And I think we warmed people up, they got people ready, and then Nonpoint came on and just laid waste to the masses. It was one of the best, most energetic performances I've ever seen from a band in my life.
They absolutely crushed it. If you are a fan from pretty much any era, any and all eras, they played a great mix of, stuff from all the albums. We got a few of actually most of the stuff off of Ruthless.
They played all of Ruthless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was something that was awesome, because they did have the When Doves Cry cover on there, and I was like, I don't know if they'll play that. They actually did play it at the end of the night. They played everything off of Ruthless, and then they played friggin'
you got What a Day and
What a Day, Bullet with a Name on it.
Watching Rob's awesome too, because he sets up sideways so you can actually see what's going on behind the drum kit. And he's like very interactive with the crowd. Obviously Elias, like everyone was just on point. Nonpoint was on point.
Nonpoint was on point. And that's not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. They were phenomenal. They put on a hell of a show. And it was an honor for us to be, asked to do that and just to be there. I mean, Tony from Patio Slave showed up. We had Ed, old Shovelhead Ed there. He showed up with his son. Tons of good people. Bo and Rhonda showed up. I mean, TJ from I the Conqueror and formerly of Devil's Night Out was there. It was really cool to see all these people out. Had a great time. Made a bunch of new fans. Saw a bunch of old fans that were excited for us. Honestly, it was one of the best nights I think Trawl as a whole has had.
Thanks to everybody for making us feel welcome. Like, I know when you go see a national band and there's an opener you don't know, it can go one of two ways. You know what I mean? I've definitely been at the show where people were like, the general consensus became the opener sucks. And then the rest of the time for them becomes like very tough because the crowd has decided, the people have decided, and it was not like that at all. Like, I felt like, I felt so good about, the night. And
people seem to enjoy it. And I know what you're saying. It's that when the opening band comes on, everyone's standing there with their arms crossed and they're just standing, they may not get into it or their head just kind of bobs a little bit. That started, I want to say that was like maybe a song or two for us, but then people got into it. And then having some of our fans who knew us being there, I think helped energize the crowd some more, because we started having, like, I saw Josh in the crowd and he was singing along with some of our tracks. I saw TJ in the crowd doing the same thing.
It's contagious, once some people start getting into it, like you start seeing more and more at the end of every song, just like,
it's like laughter or smile. If you see somebody smiling and they're not being dicks about it or being creepy about it, you kind of smile, and if they're laughing, it gets contagious. And I think you're exactly right. It's contagious, and it worked out into our favor. I think we got a lot of fans.
I'll say in the last 6 months, 6-ish months, when we've got to play Aura, we got to play these Wally shows, kind of opening for bigger bands, doing some shows like this. I've definitely noticed an impact on a lot of other things too, like streaming.
Yep.
A lot more people checking out our music online.
A lot of people hitting us up on social medias, which is awesome.
Yeah, what's really cool is all these shows have been Ticketmaster shows, and I know Ticketmaster is sort of the devil in that, like,
Dun, dun, dun.
the fees and whatnot. But the one cool thing for a band like us is that those shows are promoted directly on Spotify. So, like, when you go to Nonpoint, it says Nonpoint with discrepancies in Trawl.
Right.
Ticketmaster, it shows them the link and the links to all our music. And normally, as a local band,
You
when
don't
you're
get that.
playing, you know, ABC bar down the street, your stuff's not being directly promoted in that
No.
way from a major ticketing company that literally
Yeah.
books, you know, every major ticketing event across at least the US. I'm not sure what they do over in Europe or
Oh,
overseas.
they probably are over there too, screwing over the Europeans and
They probably are, you know, even though they're literally, you know,
devils.
the devil. But you know, for us, it's meant a lot more people checking us out because in a way it kind of legitimizes a show when it's like, oh wow, okay, these guys are playing a couple of shows that are being you know, promoted by Ticketmaster. So
not only does it legitimize that, but I feel like it makes, for me, seeing that we get that promotion, you know, it's out there, it's pushing, and it's kind of pushing things back towards our social medias, our Spotify's, and all that stuff. It makes me feel like we are kind of being validated as a band. You can see with like an actual scalable metric to say we did this, which in turn, you know, put these people towards our profile, or these people into our music catalog, or, you know, our website views have gone up X%. That feels good because it makes you feel like you're actually doing something that, you know, some bands can only imagine. And I
right.
mean, I imagine it all the time. I have, you know, hopes and dreams and wishes for Trawl, and being able to sit down and say it's kind of, some of that stuff has happened. Whereas we're playing really good shows.
Where it feels like we're taking smart opportunities. It feels like we're, you know, putting our best foot forward with, you know, recording and releasing music and playing shows that we think are going to be, you know, meaningful for our career and what we're doing. Obviously, you know, these opportunities are special. These are not things that we get to do all the time.
Right.
There'll be a moment, I'm sure, or a run where, you know, maybe we can't do some of these kind of things and we have to you know, play quote unquote regular shows, which is totally fun because I also just love playing music for the love of it and playing to the people who have been coming out to Trawl shows since the beginning, and, you know, trying out new songs and, you know, trying to just get better by practicing. It's kind of like sports in a way where you're like, all right, you know,
Sport ball.
like Nonpoint sold out is like our World Series, you know.
Yep.
We got to play some scrimmages, we got to play some home games, some away games, and then boom, sometimes you get to play in like
some
the all-star
game.
Up.
Yeah.
Or, you know, that's like when we get to do so I think they're all important. All types of gigs are important because you know, when you play the backyard gig, you learn about playing outside and how sound dissipates, and when you play in a big place, you learn how your band sounds in a huge venue. Well, and when you play the bar, you're like, okay, well, that's way too loud, you know.
You got to learn those little nuances of, okay, we're playing in a bar that only holds like 200 people. I can't put my amp up to 55, and, you know, maybe Gary has to hit the drums a little less hard. You know, Sean's vocals got to come down a smidge because it's too much there. And, you know, then you learn those little nuances from show to show, from venue to venue, from, you know, I know both Wally's shows, we had people coming up to us before our set and after our set being like, I've never heard of you guys. You know, it's super exciting to see a band from Maine. Like, we didn't know that you guys existed. And I know, like I said, our Facebook page has definitely grown a bunch. Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff has grown a tremendous amount.
Yeah.
And thanks to these opportunities that we've gotten, to open for such amazing bands and put it out there.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I'll say this: I'm hoping at some point we can have some of the guys from Discrepancies on the show, because super cool guys. They put on a hell of a show, and I just like to talk to them. They were really good cats. Seth, we're recording again.
I know, man. It's like pretty close to my favorite thing in the world, getting to record. Like, honestly, it's always a little different every time, because I feel like I'm in a different spot in my life and different headspace. Obviously, the songs that you're coming up with at any given time are different,
Right.
Hopefully than we've ever done before.
We got a single coming out, and it'll be out about the time this podcast hits. Kaiju King. Let's talk about Kaiju King, the first single off the new EP.
Right around the time we put out Shark Pinata, we were coming up with this song. I remember kind of, I remember Justin hitting us with this cool hammer-on riff that sounded like something we'd never done before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, this is definitely a song. Justin has been absolutely slaying it with riffs and writing.
I think Kaiju King's the second song we wrote with Justin. The first one was Requiem. I think this is the second song we wrote with Justin.
This is the second song, yeah. So this was the one we were excited about. Like, when everyone was checking out Shark Pinata, and that was just getting out there, we were in the jam space writing Kaiju King, and definitely a different song. It goes a lot of places. It's not, I can't say it's a short song because it's over 4 minutes. It's like one of the longest songs we've put out to date. But I think I will say that it goes a lot of places in that 4 minutes, so it never feels like it stays in any one place for too long.
We had somebody stop by the studio while we were recording it, and we kind of gave them a sneak preview of it, and they had some really kind words for it, and they're saying has a very pop punk feel, but a little bit heavier of a pop punk feel, which is cool because that's kind of somewhat of my influences. I'm a pop punk guy. I'm a punker for the most part, but hearing that, it reminds me of this crossed with this, and I was like, oh, okay, I can dig that. Those aren't bad references, and again, it's one of those things. We started having fun, like, as we're recording these songs. A lot of times going in, some bands will be like, that's it, we're gonna record, it's gonna be this and this and this, and we're doing that, but at the same time we're like, all right, let's try this, like, let's try to put a djembe on there and see how that sounds, and it worked out really well. And then we got some special guests to come in for some group vocals on this song, which is exciting. I think this song, like you said, it does go a lot of places, but at the same time, the heart of this song really holds true throughout the whole thing and can be, I think, felt. It's a song about Godzilla. How serious can you be writing a song about Godzilla?
But I don't know. It has I feel like, because of your and both of our love and appreciation for Godzilla, it comes from a place that cares and about the details, and your lyrics on it are really clever and bring to mind elements of the movies and just kind of the lore of Godzilla in a way that isn't just kind of like we were trying to get a rise out of people by throwing subject matter that you wouldn't normally hear about. It was like, no, this comes from a place of somebody who deeply cares about the Kaiju King.
I mean, God, I love Godzilla. I have loved Godzilla since, man, I was probably like 7, 8 years old when I first saw Godzilla, maybe even earlier than that. And honestly, It's literally one of my favorite monsters of all time.
Me
There's
too,
nothing
man.
more to
Yeah.
say, man. I love Godzilla. I mean, I love King Kong. That's cool. I don't mind some of the other things, but Godzilla has always been like the one steadfast big monster fun movie to go see, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
except for the Matthew Broderick one, okay? That one doesn't count. It never happened. It's an abomination on film. I'll fight anyone that says that's a good movie because it was fucking garbage, and I to this day, it's fucking garbage.
I
I will.
mean, was that Godzilla 2000? I think it
No,
was.
that was just Godzilla.
That was just straight
That was
Godzilla.
that was Hollywood's attempt at trying to do Godzilla, but then they decided, yeah, let's just make it a fucking giant Tyrannosaurus. It wasn't Godzilla. Okay, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. That's all I'm gonna say. It's
If
the
I remember
easiest way to
right,
put it.
if I remember, the soundtrack was pretty dope, but that's about it.
Soundtrack was decent. Yep. Other than that, it just it 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 is so bad. But my love for Godzilla goes back a long time. And writing the song, like I just felt the way Justin starts the song. It had this climbing feel to it, and it made me think of all the little spikes along Godzilla's tail and his back, and it just kind of the way it crescendoed up and down, and what was in my mind picturing this song as we started writing it, it just went to that love I have for Godzilla and all the old, Gojira, the 54 Gojira and all that stuff. Like,
The Toho,
yeah, the
the
Toho
Showa
series.
era. Yeah,
Yeah, all that stuff. It just brought me back to a place of happiness. Like those movies, I literally will sit down and watch a Godzilla marathon any day of the week, and fuck, I'll call out of work if I have to watch it because that stuff's it's like when you find that one food that reminds you of being 4 years old, and it's a warm sunny day. Like that's what Godzilla is to me. It's that happy place that there is no
yeah,
pain, there is no stress, there is no god damn it, rent's due or my car broke down. It's Godzilla to me. And
yeah. I think that's one cool thing about you, Sean, how you write vocals in general, because over the years we've been writing songs, you'll say like, okay, as soon as the song's together, I'll kind of listen to what I think the song is telling me
right.
it should be. And I think one thing you're really good at is following your instincts, even when it's something like, normally, most songs are about like love or relationships or
Yeah.
heartbreak or
Yeah.
determination or things like that, but you're like, this song is about Godzilla, and you just, but like, you go 1,000% into it, and you don't just like half-heartedly do it. And I think that's the thing that has been special about Trawl so far, is
Yeah.
that like, we're not afraid to write something different if it's something that's like special to us, or that
Right.
we're just so stoked about as a group. And I love that.
This song in particular, just the way it hit. And I think genuinely we started writing the song as the new King Kong versus Godzilla came out. So I'd watched it like 5 times already.
Yeah.
Like I got HBO Max just to watch it, and I watched it like 5 or 6 times on HBO Max. And actually I just watched it the other day too. So um,
Nice.
I've seen it like 8 times now. It's ridiculous. But watching it over again and how well they've brought the character back from where it was, back in the early 2000s is huge, especially for somebody like me. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
Godzilla was still big back then.
Yeah.
It may not have been as huge as it is, in the 60s and 70s, but it was still big. And I remember my mom had a coworker who was huge into Godzilla too. And I remember she got him to babysit me one day, and we watched probably, I don't know, 12 Godzilla movies together. Like we just burned through them.
Nice.
And that, like I said, this song made me think of the way the spikes on his back, are formed, how they look, and the lyrics coming out basically are kind of describing him in some of like the promotional pictures you see for like the Godzilla, where it's kind of him in front of the sun, the sky's red. If you listen to the lyrics, you can definitely hear there's a passion for that big, beautiful lizard bastard. I
was pretty
do
excited about it.
want to give you a shout out too for the cover art. It is fucking amazing. I love
Thanks,
it. I
man.
want it on a sweatshirt, like as big as it can get on the back.
Hell yeah, man.
And if you've seen us live at a show recently, you've probably seen that I'm wearing a Godzilla sweatshirt that is the Jaws movie poster, but it has Godzilla on it. So you can obviously see this is a match made in heaven, because I love Godzilla, I love Jaws, I love my band, and those two things being able to be put together on the back of a sweatshirt. It's one of my favorite sweatshirts. I'm probably going to wear that damn thing out. I wear it so much. So, but the artwork for this single is it's perfect. It couldn't have been any better.
I was really just thinking about kind of the vintage Godzilla posters. I wanted to make sure to get the Japanese kanji in there. I thought that was cool, and I wanted to kind of make it look of a certain era, kind of distressed, and the way
Right.
it might look today if you saw it still up somewhere. You peel back a wall or some wallpaper,
And
and
it's
it's
just
still
there.
up in like an old theater, and it's just kind of
I do like that
relics.
you were able to find the kanji for trawl. So if any, and hopefully it's right. That's my only
Hopefully it's
concern.
right. I know I looked it up a bunch of times. So there's a couple of different translations of when you say trawl. One of them is actually troll, but
Mm.
the kanji for troll and trawl are actually like the same thing.
I'm hoping it's right, because I think it looks
I hope so.
awesome, and it really is badass. So, but that's the first single, Kaiju King. With this new single, it's going to be available March 11th. This episode's coming out about a week before the single comes out, and the single comes out March 11th. It's Kaiju King, from us, Trawl. We're excited about this new single. We're super excited about the new EP. I just can't wait for people to hear it. I can't wait for people to see the cover art. We got a really cool artist to work with us to do the cover art. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
The songs, I think the songs, like I said, they're going to be pushing the boundaries of what people think of when they think of Trawl. But it's not up for the bad. I feel personally, it's for the best. It's for the good. It's going to be something that people are going to be excited about, because maybe you're not into the heavier stuff, which is fine. The first EP had some heavier stuff on it. This one has some lighter songs on it, but it also has some more serious things talked about throughout the songs.
Agreed.
And then even still, there's some goofy shit like Kaiju King, which comes out March 11th on all your major digital platforms. So we've talked about what's happened essentially from September of 2021 to now, February/March of 2022. Bunch of shows played, new single coming out, new EP is in the works. Before we get a little bit further, I did want to personally shout out and say thank you to Biggs and Brady and all the guys at Yes Brewing. Unfortunately, they had to close down back in December.
Yeah, very
they
unfortunate.
they made a good run of it, and honestly, I can't say thank you enough to those guys. They were super awesome to us. And unfortunately, Yes Brewing is closed, and the Trawl beer, well, I have a stock, but I ain't giving it away, and I'm not selling it because it's my stock. And I like the
Yes.
beer,
Thank you guys so much for doing that with us, and for all the great beer and the great times. Really appreciate you guys, and hope that whatever you do next is awesome because you're awesome people.
For
Um,
sure. Yeah. And it
yeah,
was really, I mean, they were really nice and very gracious to us. And when they were closing up shop, I went in and spoke with them a couple times on their last day open. I went in and grabbed, a few pints with Brady, and I had good talk with him, just saying thank you. It means the world to us to just, have you guys work with us. And I know it may not have been a multi-million-dollar business for you guys, but we really appreciated it. And they were very thankful that, for everything we did. And then, they gave me some of the glasses that say Yes Brewing. So I'll always have that as a remembrance. I also got all
nice.
the Trawl beer stickers. So if you're ever out and about and want to have a Trawl beer, you can we'll give out some stickers at some point, and you can just slap one on like a Miller Low Life, and then like, no, I'm drinking Trawl beer. There it is.
Nice.
Uh,
Yeah. We also got the sign.
Yeah.
We got the sign. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's hanging up in our jam room. So if you ever get to come to our jam room, when you walk into where we practice, if you literally turn around and look above the door, you will see the Trawl beer sign that they had hanging up in the brewery, because Trawl beer was actually on tap there from the day that we released it with them until the day they closed. It was on tap there. And I know I went in multiple times, and Brady was always there pushing the Trawl beer, and I know
cool.
Biggs was too. It was really, really cool, and we really appreciate them. So shout out to Yes Brewing and the Frost brothers and Biggs. You guys were amazing. So that was just a quick tangent, sidebar there. But let's talk about Now Spinning, Seth. We haven't done this in a while. It's an older segment we used to do, where we talk about an album or albums we've been listening to recently, and just kind of let the world know what the hell we've been listening to. So Seth, let's talk about what you've been spinning recently.
Yeah, so since the beginning of the year, there's only been a couple of things that have kind of like really caught my attention, a couple singles here and there, but one album that I've been spinning since it came out a couple of weeks ago. I think it came out on February 4th. The new Korn record, Requiem.
Oh, nice.
It's a really, really solid record. I honestly think it's one of the best records since probably, I don't know, the early 2000s, like Untouchables era.
Yeah.
And obviously, growing up and going to high school in the late 90s, early 2000s, self-titled, Life is Peachy, Issues, Follow the Leader, Untouchables, those were all kind of in the canon as far as like albums that we all knew and loved and grew up with. Kind of the mid-career era of Korn. A lot of that stuff wasn't my favorite. There was some pretty good songs, some stuff that I didn't even purchase. I think Requiem is their 14th studio album, and it bangs. It's really good.
I have not listened to it yet, so I'm a little bit behind. I've been catching up on some podcasts that I haven't listened to, but I have been spinning music, but I haven't checked that out. I'll have to get that into rotation soon. 14 albums, Jesus Christ, that's so many. That's so many sets of lyrics to remember. What the hell?
I know. Yeah,
I have trouble with like the 12 songs we have. I'm like, yep, that's it.
So Forgotten, killer single. It's the first track on the record. It starts off with this cool stick hit thing, like it's doing like a cool stick hit pattern on the snare. Let's see, Start the Healing, Lost in the Grandeur, both really good songs. Like the whole thing front to back is really good. I read up a little bit on it. They actually like wrote and recorded a lot of this during the pandemic, because they put out a record in like, I want to say like 2018 or 2019, which was pretty darn good. Like I remembered actually starting to pay attention again, because like I was starting to hear some like Korn songs I really liked again. I was like, and this one just freaking bangs. It's interesting because the production's a bit different. Normally you've got Fieldy clackety clacking away,
Yep.
and you can hear the rhythm always has like a very signature sound that you immediately know is Korn.
Yeah.
I will say on this, you almost outside of hearing John Davis, if you take John Davis out of the equation, like it doesn't have that same signature mix. Like you don't hear Fieldy clackety clacking. He definitely used a
Right.
different technique. Apparently, they recorded the whole thing to tape, which was
Oh,
really interesting.
nice.
So, just really digging this record.
Yep.
Not like I haven't been like super psychoanalyzing it or digging deep into all of the lore of the songs or anything. I've just been like every time I get in the car and I'm looking for something to listen to, I'm just like hit play on that album because it's been freaking solid. Definitely recommend. Korn's Requiem just came out this year. Check that one out.
Nice, dude. That's awesome. I like I said, I haven't listened to it. I know I just read an article somewhere. I want to say it was Loudwire, maybe. They were talking about wanting to reconnect with Fieldy
Yeah,
at
yeah,
some point, and that's cool. And I know he was going through some stuff and needed to take a break, and hopefully he's doing better. But it's cool that they got something out and could,
could do it. Yeah, I know.
and just keep doing it. That's great.
They've been through a lot.
Well,
I
they're what,
mean,
14 albums you said,
I
so
was gonna
Jesus
say,
Christ.
yeah, they've been through. I know Brian had Welch left for a long time. The original
Yep,
drummer, I think it was
David
it Dave
Silvera.
Silvera. He's
Yeah.
been gone for quite a long time. I know. I think Monkey left maybe at a point, came back a time or two. There was a point
They've been
when,
in the game for so long that it's like
yeah,
you almost forget about any transitions or
yeah,
personnel changes because maybe that person left, but then they came back. But it was like,
yeah.
okay, but then you realize it was like a 5-year span that they weren't in the band, and it's like, oh,
But they've
well, Jesus,
always they've always persevered, and
yeah,
I will say, like, I've seen them, 5, 6 times live. Always put on a killer live show. You always leave a Corn show going like, that was freaking badass. Like, all the times I've seen them. So, how about you, Sean? What are you digging lately for music?
So you brought the new. I'm bringing the old.
Oh, nice.
I've been revisiting my past quite a bit musically, and last few months, it's been yeah, I would say since about October, I have been reliving my love for West Coast hardcore, and in
Nice.
particular, very specifically, the band Snapcase.
Ooh,
I have
cool.
been blasting through their Steps EP and their album Progression Through Unlearning. The Steps EP came out in,
Nice.
yeah, it's 95. No, 96.
Nice.
Because 97 was Progression Through Unlearning. Um, Steps only has 4 tracks on it, but I'll tell you right now, those 15 minutes or so have some of the best West Coast hardcore you'll ever hear. Always literally one of my favorite guitar openings to a song is the song Windows. I remember
Nice.
being in high school hearing that guitar riff for the first time. It was like, what the fuck is that? And my friend at the time was like, oh, it's this band called Snapcase. They're out of California, blah blah blah. And he gave me the friggin' album and the EP, and Jesus Christ, like, oh my god, it was so I got hooked immediately. And I want to say it was like that same year that he gave me that, he gave me Progression Through Unlearning. And
Nice.
I mean, uh just an absolute blasting album. And it's funny because Steps has 4 songs. It's like 14 minutes long, roughly.
Real quick. Yeah.
Um, Progression Through Unlearning. I just pulled it up here. 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 11 songs, but it's only 32 minutes.
Wow, so pretty quick songs.
It's pretty quick, but it's that old school hardcore where you only needed about 2 minutes, roughly 2.5 minutes to bang out exactly what you needed to do. And I mean, like I said, Windows off the Steps EP, that song rips. I don't care.
To check that out after this because
Yeah,
I'm a very shamefully unfamiliar with Snapcase. And
we had this discussion before we got on, recording here, before we got on air, that we're similar, but we have different veins to get to where we're at now. And between Seth and I, and this is one of those veins where, I liked Korn back in the day. I haven't really kept up with them too much. I want to say probably first 5-6 albums I was heavily into them, and then just kind of they faded for me. But stuff like this I always come back to, especially because when I was younger, these were the bands that helped kind of form the energy that I try to put on stage until I got super fat and old. And of course I'm saying that, and these guys are like 10-15 years older than me, and they're still, I know Snapcase was just doing a California takeover, and I think they did a New York California takeover in New York, and it was like Earth Crisis and stuff like that. And
nice.
It was just, I wish I could have gone. I wish I had the time and the money, because that would have been unbelievable to see. I've always been a huge Earth Crisis fan, but Snapcase, like I said, Steps, the Windows song, that I could be in any mood. If you throw that on, just get the fuck out of my way, because if I'm at work, I'll do all the work in 15 minutes. Like, you throw that EP on, I'll have all the work done, no problem. That EP puts me right in the mood. But if I want a little bit longer, Progression Through Unlearning is just an absolute slamming album. Zombie Prescription is one of my favorite songs of all time. Guilty by Ignorance is just fucking, they're great. It's something that I've always been passionate about. And again, if you get a chance, people, Snapcase out of California, those two the EP and the full length are just so
I'm going to be
good.
one of those people. I'm going to go out there and check it out, because
I think you'll dig it. It's like, again, it's hardcore, so it's not necessarily something you may have been into in the past, and you may still not be into it. I don't know, but Progression Through Unlearning is a great one. Designs for Automation is it's classic. It's a classic hardcore album. If you're into any hardcore, that's one of the creme de la cremes in my book, is Designs for Automation.
For as far as like the old school hardcore stuff, like I don't have like a big entry point. Really, for me, the entry point into a type of hardcore was really metalcore, because like once like early Killswitch hit, then I was into all that stuff. But a lot of the stuff that preceded it, that like the forefathers would be like, yo, if you like this, then you gotta like this. That stuff is a little bit not lost on me, but like it was just a little bit before my full scope of appreciation of being able to like live it as I was coming up through. So,
I remember the early days of me getting into music. And again, I'm this weird kid who, when I was younger, I was into ska. Like, I was heavily into ska when I got into high school.
Yeah, ska was great, man.
Like punk, ska, that was when I was. And then I had some friends who were like, man, if you like punk and you want to get a little bit heavier, check this out. And then I can't remember who it was, but they gave me an Earth Crisis CD, a Hatebreed CD, the Snapcase EP, and then, and honestly, it was just mostly Victory Records is what it was. It was early Victory Records stuff that, I got it. I blasted through it. Actually, I know Snapcase wasn't on Victory. They were on something else. I can't remember. But like Victory Records was the big one that, all the hardcore bands were on Victory Records, and, Buried Alive, Earth Crisis, Hatebreed.
And Hatebreed is one that I saw growing up, and I loved. Actually, I saw God Forbid and Hatebreed open for Slipknot.
I remember that show.
It was God Forbid, Hatebreed, Slipknot Slayer at the Augusta Civic Center back in like I'm gonna say like '02, and it was fucking awesome. And I remember loving God Forbid and Hatebreed. I actually got to meet Byron from God Forbid after the show. He signed my ticket. It's really cool. I remember that, loving that stuff.
I remember
like,
being in high school, and one of the first real shows I went to, it was back when Asylum had all ages shows. So it's that long ago, because they stopped doing that pretty quickly.
I do
but it was
remember those.
Hatebreed.
Yeah.
It was Hatebreed at the Asylum, and dude, there was probably like 10 or 15 little fucking scrawny bastard kids from friggin' Wyndham High School there, throwing down as hard as we fucking could in the pits for Hatebreed. I remember that was one of the first times I bought band merch at a show. Before that, I'd done like some mail-in catalog stuff, or that was kind of the beginning of websites, so you could go on to like a website, or you could get like the Circus magazine, the Rockabilia. You could go on, you write your name, you order it, you'd send in a check.
Yeah. Mail it.
But I remember one of the first items I ever bought from a band at a show was a Hatebreed basketball jersey, and it was teal. It almost looked like the old Memphis Grizzlies friggin' jerseys. And dude, I love that thing, because it said Connecticut Hardcore in the back. And dude, that was one of the best. I wish I still had it. I wish I could find another one, because that was one of my favorite band merchandise items I've ever owned. Is that Hatebreed sweatshirt. I was also, back in high school, I was one of the little straight edge kids. So I wore the bandanas to all the hardcore shows, even non-hardcore shows. I wore a bandana too. I X'd my hands. Like, I went crazy in the pits. But growing up, getting into the hardcore scene, I had friends who were all about it. And I was more open to different things. I was obviously huge into Coal Chamber, Life, Agony, Fear Factory, but like hardcore always holds a really special place in my heart, because it was something that was just there, and the emotions that are in hardcore were something completely different than, you could listen to Fear Factory and you're like, oh, cool, Edge Crusher, ooh. But then you're like, you fucking throw on Hatebreed and you're like, I'm going to be the Skull Crusher now. Fuck everybody.
Now is the time.
Rise. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
But, so if you get a chance, Snapcase, Progression Through Unlearning, Steps EP, both of those, I've been spinning them for a while now again, because they're, in my book, they're fucking literally some of the classic hardcore bands. The last year or two, they started doing all these California takeovers, and it's been like, oh my God, I wish I had the time and the money to get out there to go to these, because those are like, that'd be my childhood relived. Like, I've seen Life of Agony a bunch of times recently. In the last 4 or 5 years, I've seen them a few times, and that's really good for reliving my childhood. But seeing bands like Snapcase and Earth Crisis, and some of those West Coast hardcore bands that God, I haven't seen in forever, and the old Victory bands that no one talks about anymore, because they kind of just disappeared.
Yeah, well, I think what happened, well, especially with Victory, is pop punk took the place of that music, and then for the earlier 2010s through more recent, I mean, like bands like A Day to Remember, and I know that they're not on Victory anymore, but
well, and that's the thing, is that
I really love that music too. So, but
that stuff kind of hit at the right time, and Victory was, because like not A Day to Remember, I'm thinking of Newfound Glory. They were more hardcore when they started, and then they kind of softened up to be a little bit more pop punk. And like Victory Records, when I was listening, they had bands, or I don't even know, again, I don't know if they were on Victory, but bands like Strife, Blood for Blood, stuff like that, where you're like, this is a fucking hardcore band. Like, all those bands, and they all knew each other, they all toured together, they all worked together to progress hardcore as fast and as furious as possible. And then, like, even nowadays, I was just listening to a podcast, and they were talking about how hardcore has changed so much, and I feel that because back when I was, really into it, it was one thing, and it was basically, you were either straight edge or you weren't, but everyone wore bandanas and everyone threw down the same way in the pit, and it was a family, it was a brotherhood, it was a, sisterhood, whatever you want to call it. Everyone was there to do the same thing, and it was to have fun, listen to fucking hardcore music, and just get your fucking frustrations out.
Throw down. Yeah.
So now I'm gonna have to go listen to Strife and Blood for Blood because I just mentioned them and I haven't listened to them in a little bit. So those are two more bands you can go check out, Seth.
All right, cool. Nice.
I probably have their CDs, man, over sitting in my CD rack there.
Nice. Rad, man.
So that's the Now Spinning segment, ladies and gentlemen. Tell us what you've been listening to the last few months. Like I said, we've been gone since September, and just tell us what you've been listening to. Found new bands, found old bands, found weird German death polka. Let us know. We'd love to hear from what from you guys, what you guys have been listening to. So this week, Seth.
Yeah.
What the fuck is? What's the most embarrassing / oddest thing you've ever won? Now, I don't just mean the prize. It could be a contest or a prize.
Damn.
What's the weirdest or oddest thing that you've ever won?
Interesting.
Now, I can give you mine right off the bat because it's not a prize. It's a contest I won. And I want to say I was like 4 years old. I won a dance contest in Florida.
Nice. That's awesome.
I was a young kid. My grandparents took me to Florida for a vacation, and the resort we were staying at, this was back, mid-late 80s. So they gave a kid a chance.
Yeah.
But I remember I went down with my grandparents to Florida, drove down, got to this resort. I remember back then, Just the Gigolo was my jam. I was a young, like 3, 4, 5-year-old kid singing Just a Gigolo. And if you know the lyrics to that song, it's not meant for that young of a child. But I remember my grandparents took me to a place, they had the lady who was playing piano there sing Just a Gigolo. And I went, I sang with her. But then I was like the next day or a couple days later, there was a dance contest. And it was basically like Simon Says. It wasn't really a dance they called it a dance contest, but
yeah,
I remember it was this
like you had to follow whoever like the moderator was. Yeah.
And I don't remember all the details very well. I just remember it was super hot and they were making us do stuff like lay on your back and put your arms and legs in the air and wiggle them like you're a turtle on your back. And I remember winning. That's all. I won a dance contest like 4.
Nice.
So
okay, well, if we're going for like things that aren't necessarily like a prize, but something that you won as like something that was like a talent related kind of victory.
Well, the fact that I won a dance contest at like 4 years old, that's weird. That's odd, especially if you've seen me. I don't have that much rhythm dance wise. I mean, I do, but I was 4.
I can think of something that's very strange that like no one would ever probably think. So I remember, I think I want to say it was like 5th grade. We had to take the DARE program. You remember the DARE program?
Oh yeah.
When
that's where all of us kids learned how to do drugs.
Well, exactly. So like there's since been preface or tangent. There's since been like documentaries made and videos produced kind of outlining the fact that DARE, like they've actually been able to show with figures that like DARE actually made things way worse.
Yeah.
And
ain't that the truth?
the idea of drugs to kids. But when I was in 5th grade, there was an essay contest for the DARE program. And it was like, I can't remember what like the thesis question was, but basically the gist of it was like kind of an empowerment around the fact that you are a kid that has decided I will never take drugs, or I will
Right.
be somebody
Well,
who takes drugs.
so to go back on the tangent that you had, they like first off, when I think of Dare program, I think of the Chappelle Show skit where he's like, "Hey kids, you get on the Fifth Street bus and you go down and see." Yeah, that's what I think. But at the same time, like the Dare program when I was a kid, like I felt like it worked, but they made every kid, promise to not do drugs, and then like 2 years later, I remember some of the kids in that same class that I was in were like, "Hey man, you want to go smoke weed?" And I'm like, "What the? Didn't we just promise like 2 years ago to not?" They're like, "Yeah, I no."
I mean, it was it was a good attempt. I
It was a
think
great, yeah. Well,
as like
the war on
responsible.
drugs, I don't think that war was ever won by anything but drugs. So,
Yeah, so it's never really been
but
truly
drugs.
won, but in 5th grade, so I had to write an essay about, kind of my commitment to
Not doing drugs.
not doing
Okay.
drugs, and I won the contest and had to read my essay in front of the entire school,
Oh,
which
okay.
was quite the prize because, like, you're like, "Oh, great, now you
Everyone
won,"
knows
and
why I'm not
everyone
going to be.
so, like,
Yeah.
basically making you into, like, an immediate nerd because, like,
An
not only
immediate
did you, like
target for high school.
right, because like, okay, not only did I win this thing, now I have to publicly, like, basically in front of everybody be like, "And this is the reason why I decided to never take drugs," and,
And I
it
will
was
get
like,
used to the taste of toiletry and,
dude, it was
swirlies.
obviously very tough, very embarrassing,
Hey, it
um,
happens. Dude,
but
you want a dare contest, I want a dance contest. Let's,
yeah. But I
and
will
I'm
say,
admitting that
like
now at almost 40 years old, I'm admitting that to the world. I won a dance contest when I was like 4. Why?
I think if anything, it like I guess speaks to my ability to write because I like to write, and
Mm,
like essays and things I've done. And I've taken like a couple of college classes, like creative writing and things like that, and
mm.
I enjoy writing. So if anything, I guess it was a cool feather in the cap for that. But like
Yeah. It's a
it was all
precursor to what kind
yeah.
of started.
But like the subject matter and being like, okay, yeah, like obviously, kind of embarrassing when you're in 5th grade and you're trying to somehow be cool, you
Right.
know, at least a little bit. And yeah, that was you know,
Hey,
some points against me, I guess.
I guarantee 99% of the people from 32 to 42 were part of the DARE program.
Yeah.
There's a good chunk of people in there that were part of DARE, and we, I'm sure almost every single person has gone out and tried drugs or done something like
Something
they don't do
that
drugs
Dare
what they
wouldn't approve
drink,
of.
which is
Yeah.
technically a drug, but
Yeah.
regardless. But
It's all good
going
now.
back to the thing, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen of the listening audience of TRAWLCAST, what's the most embarrassing or oddest thing you've ever won? It can be a contest or a prize. Let us know in the comments section where you see this. Use the hashtag WTFQ when you do it, and let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you've got a what the fuck question you want to hear us answer, hit us up in the comments section. We'd love to answer your questions, or hit us up at trawlband@gmail.com. We always say we love hearing from you guys. Um, that's pretty much all I got for this episode, Seth. How you feeling about being back?
Feeling good. It's good to be back. Hopefully, you guys are doing good out there. Thanks for tuning back in. If you have been listening a while, if you've never listened to us, thank you for tuning in and making it this far into our
For sure, yeah.
various shenanigans. Hope you
If this is
enjoyed.
your first episode, go back and check out some of our older stuff. We've had some pretty cool guests on. Uh, we've mentioned them a few times. Patio Slave Podcast. We had Chris from Stillborn Condition. We've had a mutual friend of ours, Matt Heath, on. John Taylor of Loki fame. We've had quite a few guests on.
Many bands. We've had
Yep.
many band guests. So we've got quite a few episodes
We've got some cool
36 to be exact. So
something like that. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
We've also got some really cool episodes where Seth talks about beginning his collection or beginning to collect vinyl and how to get into that and stuff like that. So if you're interested, go check out our back catalog. Hit us up with some of your favorite episodes. And if you've got ideas for episodes, don't be afraid to hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. If you got a show idea for us, hit us up. If you've got a what the fuck question you want to hear us answer, I mean, for the most part, pretty much everything's on the table, so don't be scared. We won't be. At least I won't be. Seth might be, but I won't be.
see, he never tells me what he's going to ask, so I'm always thinking on my feet. He's had like all day to think about it, and then he's like, "What's the weirdest thing ever you could ever imagine?" Go, and I'm like, So
well, it's funny because we started talking about coming back with the podcast, and I mean, it's been about a week or two that we started talking about it again, and I already had like 7 what the fuck questions, but it's like they're in a rotation where it's like, this one's not this week. But if somebody gives me something that's better than what I have, I'll take it and put it to Seth so that, and that actually be the first time that Seth would probably see it, or Seth can turn the tables and bring me one that I don't know about, and I'll have to be put on the spot. Okay. So I ain't scared.
Okay, we got to turn the tables a little bit sometimes. Yeah.
You give it one hell of a shot, my guy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having us back. We're going to go try to do this as much as possible, and we're going to have some guests on this season. We have a few ideas in the pipeline, so if you got somebody you want us to talk to or know somebody who you think we'd have a good time talking to, hit us up. But thanks for listening again, guys. We're super excited to be back doing this. Like I said, like we said at the beginning of the show, it's been a pretty crazy, hectic few months that we've been burning and turning through, and having the opportunity to play with some amazing bands again, play some live shows, means the world to us. So thanks for sticking in there and being patient with us as we get back to this beast of a podcast. And that's pretty much all I got to say, guys. Seth?
That's it. Thank you guys very much for listening. I'm Seth McClellan.
I'm Sean Matthews. Roll that outro. Thank you guys for tuning into TRAWLCAST this week. If you like what you hear, we are available on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many, many more. So hit that subscribe button. As soon as a new episode drops, it will be there, ready, and waiting for you to hit play. We're also on YouTube. All you gotta do is go to youtube.com/TrawlPortlandME. We post music, videos, even the podcast there. Again, that's youtube.com/TrawlPortlandME. Want to find us on your favorite social media site? All you have to do is search for @TrawlBand. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, that's @TrawlBand. Would you like to send us a voice message? Maybe hear your voice on the podcast? All you gotta do is go to anchor.fm/TrawlCast. Have fun with it. We want to hear from you. Maybe you'll even get to hear your question or voice on the podcast. Want to get yourself a sweet sticker pack from Trawl and TRAWLCAST? All you got to do is cast a line to us at trawlband@gmail.com. Make sure to include your name and mailing address and a question you'd like to hear us answer. That way, we can send you some sweet Trawl swag. For more information about Trawl and all things Trawl related, all you got to do is go to www.trawlband.com. It's the website. We post everything there. Again, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of TRAWLCAST. We hope you enjoyed it. My name's Sean Matthews.
I'm Seth McClellan.
And this has been TRAWLCAST. We will see you next time.